when it comes to those that are transgenders, they want to say God is okay with transgenderism because one of their arguments is that that's how they feel, and they feel that God accepts it. They're going based off their feelings. Christianity.com said, and I quote, "The question is not whether such persons and feelings exist. The question is rather the is of our emotional or mental state equals the ought of God's design." And I'm not kidding, that's how it's quoted. But basically what they're saying is, it doesn't matter what we personally think. What matters is what God thinks. What matters is what God says. If how God made you in your DNA is what you are. He put his fingerprint on you and your DNA. And none of us can change our DNA. He may allow us to change our bodies physically on the outside, but we cannot change our bones. We cannot change how we function as a person. Because listen, the differences isn't just between... Okay, let me go back up. The differences between men and women is not just between the skin, how we look on the outside. There's also a bunch of psychological differences, emotional differences. I mean, there's a bunch of differences between men and women. It's not just about the organs, not just about the outside appearance, not just about, the typical stereotyping. It goes much deeper than that. I mean, even to the bones, there are differences between men and women. And it's the same in our DNA. Our chromosomes, tells us what we are when we are born. And what you were when you were born is how God designed you. And I want to tell transgender people, God is not going to make you a male or female when you're born and then later tell you that you're meant to be trans. Because listen, God is not author of confusion. He don't do that. He ain't gonna do that to you. Okay? How he intended for you to be is how he made you to be when you was born, either male or female. That's what his intentions were for you. And if people argue, well, what about those who were born with both? I'm trying to remember what the word is for that. No, I think it's hermaphrodites. A lot of people sadly do get born with birth defects, and I believe that is one of them. But the thing is, the hermaphrodites don't really make up for the whole majority, because the whole majority of people is either born female or born male. The majority of people is not born with both. For those who want to argue that transgender men can have children, that's not true either. Because listen, when God made you born a man, he intended for you to become a father, not a mother. He intended for you to be a head of the household, not the helpmeet. And also, one comment I want to make to that is, if God made us transgender, he would have made that the rule for everybody, not just a few people. He would not, there'd be, the hermaphrodite definition would be non-existent, and also, transgender also would be non-existent, because if he really wanted us to be trans, every one of us have been born with both parts. Or he would make us to where we can somehow switch our parts on our own without any medical help. Without any medical or scientific help, somehow, some way, we would just be able to naturally change our parts. Or we'd be born with both. And I'm not trying to be... And the thing is, for those who are couples that are gay couples, if they was able to, do that, I'm pretty sure they would have done that a long time ago and had children between themselves rather than had to go to adoption agencies. I'm just saying. I'm not trying to be mean. It's just you do have to think about that fact. But the thing is, if you're born a man, you're meant to be a head of a home. If you're born female, you're meant to be a helpmeet. You're not meant to be a father. If you're born female, you're not meant to be a father. You're not meant to be a dad. You're not to be a male figure. You're supposed to be a female figure. God's design is God's design. He makes no mistakes. And sadly, the devil is trying to confuse you. He's trying to tell you, no, God is wrong. He is wrong in his design for you. This is how you're supposed to be. But he's not telling you that for your own benefit. He's not telling you that to free you. He's telling you that he's saying it to free you, but the truth is, he's telling you that because he wants to hurt you. He's trying to hurt you spiritually. He's trying to hurt you mentally. He's trying to pull you away from God as much as possible. And I just ask you, if you're a person that's trans or whatever, just please consider it. Sorry about that, but anyway, again, I'm not saying this to be mean, but my point is, in saying that just now, if God really wanted us to be trans, again, he would have made the majority of people that way. And not just that, but he would have never have said in the Bible, if that was going to be the case, that then the word homosexuality and this and that, it just wouldn't be there, because it would be seen as the norm. It would be everybody would just be able to do, yeah. Homosexuality wouldn't be seen as sinful, and lesbianism or this and that, because one of the main points of God making Adam male and female is to procreate. Well, I'm sorry, but a female cannot procreate with another female. A male cannot procreate with another male. If God wanted it to be that way, he would have designed us to be able to do so, but he didn't. And like I said, if it is true that a trans man could get pregnant, I'm quite sure that if many gay couples could have gotten each other pregnant, they would have done that a long time ago. But they can't. They have to adopt children, or they have to use a surrogate. And again, I'm not saying this to be cruel to you or to be mean. I'm just telling the truth as it is. But I do need you to understand, though, God did not make you to be trans. That was not his design for you. He designed you as you were when you were born. He made a special plan for you when you was born either a man or a woman, born a girl or boy. He had a special purpose for you, in a particular role, and whatever gender he made you to be. I'm just looking at my notes real quick to see if a couple scriptures real quick. Finding identity in God. And listen, when we find our identity, when we find identity in our God, then you know who you are as a person, and who God, and that's when you begin to understand who God made you to be. When you understand that he made you to be his, and made you to be like his son Jesus, holy, and he perfectly designed you in your mother's womb as you were when you're born. He had a specific purpose and will for you to help others. I can't pronounce his last name, but I can give you an example. His name is Nicky. He was a man that was born without limbs. He never claimed to be trans or this and that, but he was born without limbs. And he is a preacher. God used how he was born to help others find faith. And I'm sure he can do that with you as well. If you're a person that's trans, I'm sure he can do that with you. But you've got to realize, though, first, that God did not make you be trans. He made you as you were when you were born. And maybe when God helps you come out of that confusion, they can help others who are still struggling with that confusion. Because like I said, I fully believe that gender dysphoria is truthfully a mental disorder. It is something that people do truthfully struggle with. And I'm sorry that's the case for a lot of you. But I'm telling you, God made you fearfully and wonderfully made. And he made no mistake when he made you. None at all. That's the first thing you have to understand. But real quick, I'm just going to read some scriptures on identity in God. Jeremiah 1:5. Before I formed you in the womb, I knew you. And before you were born, I consecrated you. I appointed you a prophet to the nations. 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he is a new creation. The old has passed away. Behold, the new has come. And you can also read 1 John 1:12, 3:2, and 3:8-9 on that, and Genesis 1:27. Okay. I just want to make sure that I've gotten through everything, because I gotta make sure keep up with my notes, because if I don't, I tend to jump from one subject to another, so that's why I do that. But again, I'm not saying this stuff to hurt anybody. I'm not saying it to be mean. I'm just saying it because it's true. And I hope and pray that God helps you through it and helps you overcome and helps you realize that you were just fine as you were when you were a child. You did not have to be changed. You did not have to go from one gender to another. You were just fine with whatever sex you were born with, boy or girl. You got a great purpose in that. And listen, some of the best people that could tell you more on this are detransitioners. And you need to listen to them. I know a lot of people are trying so hard to block their voices, but listen, if what they were speaking is not true, why are they trying so hard to stop them from speaking? You would not try very hard to stop someone from talking about what they've experienced if there was no truth there. If all they said, if they was talking about what is not true at all, they would not try so hard to stop them from speaking. But because there is truth in it, they're trying everything they can to silence them. Give them a chance. Look up the detransitioners. Listen to their story. There's no harm in listening to their story. At the end of the day, you're still going to have to make your own decisions on what you're going to do with yourself in your life. But please consider it. God does love you. He does care about you. But you do have to come to Him. And you do have to be transformed in spirit by the Holy Spirit. I hope and pray you all have a great day. All is well with you. In Jesus' name, amen. Shalom.